Hello learners, welcome to Mathematics Form 3. I am your teacher Mr. Nderitu and we shall be looking at quadratic equations and also expression. It is a continuation of what we did in Form 2. In Form 2, we introduced ourselves to quadratics and we say that unlike linear equations, a quadratic equation is where the unknown has a power of 2. I can give you an example. For example, you can say 4x squared minus 12x plus 9. Now, since there is no equals, we call this a quadratic expression. And as you can see, the unknown letter x has a highest power of 2. There is another x, but with a power of 1, but we look at the highest power of the unknown. So in case I write it this way, I rewrite it again, but with equals to something like 0. Now this becomes a quadratic equation because it has an equals part. And we said for expressions, we only simplify expressions, but for quadratic equations, they can be solved to give us two answers where we talk of x1 and also x2. All this was done in Form 2. And just as a way of recapping what we did, we want to remind ourselves about a process known as factorization of quadratics. Let me take two examples. One is this: factorize x squared plus 6x plus 9. Factorize x squared plus 6x plus 9. This is a quadratic. Is it an expression or an equation? What I've written here. Correct. This is a quadratic expression since it doesn't have an equals. So the first thing is to identify what is A. For our case, A is this number that multiplies unknown squared, which is 1. B is this number multiplying unknown with a power of 1, which is 6. And C is the number that doesn't have the unknown letter here. From there we think of two numbers whose product is A times C and the sum is B. Therefore, we are thinking of two numbers whose product is 9 and sum is equals to 6. These are very simple. Yes, which are these two numbers whose product gives us 6, and if you add them we get whose product gives us 9, and if you add them you get a 6. This is positive 3 and also another positive 3. Then you come back to your equation, your expression. You have it as x squared. You take this positive 3, then you add an x, the other positive 3 also. You add the unknown x, then you say plus 9. From there, we say that we group them. The first two we do factorization by grouping the first two and also grouping the last two. What is common about these first two terms? Both of them, they have an x. So this is, you remove the x outside, divide by x squared divided by x, we remain with x. 3x divided by x, we remain with 3. Then the other two, we must group them also. Look at what is common. They are both divisible by 3. So I can remove positive 3 out. And then we have this as x plus 3. At this stage, we said you can always know if you are correct if this value is the same in both brackets. The last step is where we now write those values that are outside into one bracket. And then you take one of these identical brackets and you write it here as x plus 3. So what we have done, we have factorized this expression. And I want you to look at the answer, which is a very unique answer in that these two numbers are the same. In short, it's as if the answer is giving us x plus 3 repeated twice. So we call it x plus 3 squared. X plus 3 squared. Let me take another example. Just next to this one. What if you are asked, what is x, or you factorize x squared minus 8x plus 16. So step 1, we have said you identify what is A. A is the number multiplying, the factor multiplying x when it's having a square. That is 1. B is the factor multiplying a known with a power of 1. So this gives us negative 8. And C is the number that does not have the unknown, which is positive 16. Product of two numbers to give us 16, and the sum to give us negative 8. Let us think of those numbers. If you multiply them, it gives you 16, and if you add them, they give you negative 8. The numbers, correct, are negative 4 and another negative 4. Because if you multiply them, they give you positive 16. Adding them, it gives you a negative of 8. So we proceed with it here. So this will give us x squared minus 4. Don't forget to add the unknown. Then minus 4 again, unknown, plus 16. Group the first two numbers. They have x in common. So this will give us x minus 4. If you factor out that x, minus 4, x minus times plus, positive times minus gives us a minus, then 4. And as you can see, these two are the same, so it means we are correct. That's how you check whether you are still on track. Then you take the numbers that are out here, the factors, put them in one bracket. Then you take these identical brackets, just have one to represent them. And again, we are having a scenario where the brackets are identical. So the answer for this one is x minus 4 squared, repeating itself. Now there's a name that we give to these types of quadratics. They are called perfect squares. They are called perfect squares. And we usually say that even without working out, we normally say that even without working out, a perfect square is made in a way that the value of b divided by 2 squared should be the same as AC. And let us test for this one here. We see whether it is true. Let us take b. For this case, we have b as 6. 6 divided by 2 squared. Is it the same as saying a times c? 1 times 9. Let us see. This will give us 3 squared. And indeed, it is true that 3 squared is equals to 9. So just by confirming this, that b over 2 squared is equals to AC, it shows us that this is a perfect square. And we are calling them perfect squares. Let me write another simple example here, and I want you to look at this formula that we are using, and you tell me whether it's a perfect square. Then I'll give you a secret to working out perfect squares. It is saying 4x squared minus 12x plus 9. Is that a perfect square? We are saying for perfect squares, b all over 2 squared is equals to AC. So let us see, our b is negative 12 divided by 2 squared. Is it the same as saying 4 times 9, which is 36? So this will give us negative 6 squared. Negative 6 squared. Yeah, it is 36. Therefore, this is also a perfect square. And as I wind up, let me give you a secret to perfect squares. Once you confirm that a number is a perfect square, we usually say square root the first term. What is the square root of that? This is 2x, because square root of 4 is 2, and square root of x squared is x. Then you take the sign of b minus, then you square root the last term, 3. And that gives you the factor of this number, even without going through the wrong method. Let us try for this one. Square root the first number, x. Square root, take the sign of b, plus, and then square root the last number, 3. Then you close it in a bracket and put a square. That's the shortcut of solving perfect squares. Next time, we shall look at how to make any type of a quadratic to become a perfect square, and then you can use your simple method that you have just learned. So thank you. Let us meet next time.